All right, what's up, everybody? It's Waba here with a What's Up Wraeclast, along with the Gemini and Ventor. How's it going,
What's up?
guys?
It's going good, man. It's going good.
What's up? Glad to be
Good.
back.
Indeed, indeed. All right, so this is the first live episode of it, so cut us some slack if we do anything wrong. Also, let us know everything we do wrong. And if you guys have any questions for Ventor in the chat, send them to me in Twitch chat, and I will, do what I can to ask them. But yeah, so let's just go ahead and start with our first topic. And, it's pretty obvious. This has been discussed a lot. We would have actually done this a little bit earlier, but last week Hedgie was sick. And then, doing this live has some other limitations with it. But I wanted to do it live to, include you guys as much as we could. So if you're here, I do really appreciate it. Thanks for stopping by. But if, this will also be on my YouTube, so you don't have to worry about that if you did not make the live episode, which you're probably watching it, so whatever. But yeah, metacrafting. All the knowledge dropped by Vok. Ventor, I'm gonna start. I'm gonna ask the most obvious question of this, like the question that everyone knows that you probably know is coming, but the post that was deleted by Carl.
Yeah.
When you answered that, did you know? And I'm gonna ask you to tell the truth, and I'll let you know. I don't think you knew, and
All right.
I have my reasons why I think you don't know, but. Did you know? And were you?
I did not. This is something that happened months before that I even posted that. What had happened was I was crafting a wand, and this was probably 2 months or so after the meta mods were releasing, the expansion. And I was crafting a physical wand, and I had that mod on there. I believe it was I was divining it. It was suffixes or prefixes cannot be changed. It was one of the two. I was divining it, and it kind of occurred to me, I'm like, well, what if I could, scour this with that mod? But I don't think I actually did it. I thought I did. I was pretty sure I did, because when I do stuff like this in game, I make sure of something. So I spend a lot of time reading the orbs and, trying to figure out, will this work? Will it not work? But I didn't want to waste any. I do not waste currency. That's one thing I don't do. I don't just, throw currency away. Like, anyone who knows me knows I don't do that. And so... I thought it had worked, and months later, the question got asked, would it work? And I'm like, no, there's no way, because it costs 2 Eternals. That's like 10 Exalts just out the window if it doesn't work.
Right.
So that's a lot of currency, and someone who's like, I think that's a lot of currency. To someone else to lose that, I was like, yeah, don't waste your currency. That would be way too powerful.
Right.
To exist at the time, because like all the legacies mods were, it'd be really powerful. And if it had worked, I would have put out a lot more stuff than AXN. And like I would have buried him.
Right.
And like he would have nothing, because I even got another trick I'll explain later you can do with it.
Oh, okay, cool.
So people can, might want to use it. It only works in standard though because of the prices. But I didn't know. I would have been, profiting, or I would have been buying all that shit like, and making sure no one else, did that. And it's not something I do. I don't go on and like, lie to people like that just for my, own selfish needs. Like anyone who's ever mirrored from me knows that, like I don't charge outrageous fees. Like I'm not the ones with 250, 100x. Mine are like 40, 30 exalts. Like I'm just doing it for fun. That's why I quit standards, because I can't craft anymore. So,
But now you can.
Well,
Apparently.
you can, but you can't finish it. Like you can. What you can do is you can get 2 good prefixes, which you want, and maybe a suffix. But you can guarantee the suffix. Like if you were to have merciless and dictators on your bow, you could guarantee the suffix roll. That's what you could do. Or you can get the 2 if you get lucky, but that's pretty much it. You can't guarantee the third. The third prefix makes the item mirrorable. So without Eternals, you can't really complete an item.
Yeah, that's actually what I was thinking, that this new, not new, but, the known crafting method that we have now, you still have to gamble on that final property.
Yeah, which is like, you won't get that third one. Like, it's insanely hard.
Whoa, what do you mean by guarantee the third suffix?
All right, so say you have 2 tier 1 prefixes.
Yeah.
You could put on you could regal it, or you could prefixes can't be changed, right? And then you would regal it or whatever to get another suffix. If that wasn't what you wanted, you'd be able to remove it with that prefixes can't be or
Right,
suffixes
right,
can't be
right, right.
changed, and then scour it, and you'd have your two prefixes again. But if there was another suffix on there and you scoured it, you can't reserve both.
Right, right. Okay, and I get what you're saying.
Like if you were to have both of them on there, then you couldn't exalt anything because neither can change.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Uh,
I mean, it's useful for making your really good item like better, but it's not an alternative to Eternals. Not even close to as powerful as Eternals are.
Yeah, it's
Right.
enough to get by on your build, make a really
Yeah.
nice build,
Yeah.
but if you want something mirror worthy, it's
You
gonna
still
take.
need Eternals. Yeah.
Yeah, you still need the Eternals that nobody wants to sell or
I,
trade.
I think I mean some people on standard know this and they've been buying them recently.
Buying them for what? How much?
I saw Rayman buying for 10 exalts each, which is crazy cheap.
Wow.
Because
Yeah,
they're
that is
gone,
cheap.
They're gone. I was paying 14, 15 each, and I've got like 600.
Holy moly.
Yeah, I mean, when all this came out, I was thinking, honestly, both crafting methods were expensive. Like, it's not
Yeah.
like you saved a ton of currency doing it.
Mhm.
And to create mirror-worthy items, which, that is, your thing, you still have to gamble on that sixth property. And
That's
so
the only one that kills you.
yeah, and so in my mind, I was like, so even if Ventor knew, there's no reason for him to do this. And as you said,
Well, I would do it, but it wouldn't help me as much as I mean, what I could do would be getting those two. I'll explain. Do you want me to explain the method that I'm going to be using in standard if I ever craft again?
yeah,
Yes,
All right,
of
please.
course, obviously.
All right. So everyone, whoever's listening, the most valuable stats you want on an item are Merciless and Dictators together. Those two. Even though they don't complete the item or make the item mirror worthy, they are the two by far the hardest rolls. But you want those two. If you get those two, your item's worth over 1,000 exalts. If it's on a good
Holy
base.
moly.
Like a Harbinger or something like, or a Dagger. It's like 1,000. I'd pay over 1,000 for one. Anyway, so what you do to get that, a better chance of getting that is to, what you do, you either get Merciless or a Dictator while you're auging. The suffix doesn't matter because you could always remove it. So what you do is, say you get a Merciless roll, you want to regal it. If you get a suffix when you regal, and this is on standard only, by the way, when you get a suffix, you should, after a regal, you should exalt it again. If you get another suffix, exalt it again. And if you get a third suffix, it's bricked. If you get a good prefix like champions or really high hybrid but not dictators, you can clear the bottom and sell it. And you rinse and repeat until you get Merciless and Dictators. Once you get that,
Holy moly.
hit up a high bidder and freaking cash in.
Dude, that's so expensive. Basically, you're just rolling just to reset the suffixes, and you never want to get more than
More
three
than
because then you're
two.
yeah, two because
if
it
you
costs
get more than
one.
two. Yeah, to clear them.
Oh, just so because you could clear it.
Yeah, you can always clear the suffix of the bad, but you can't clear prefixes, so that's why you want the two high percent fizz ones. But even if you don't get like your desired ones, like it might seem expensive by exalting, but you're doing it on Merciless, which is really rare. And so one exalt in standard will get you 350 alts. You will not get statistically you won't get a Merciless in those rolls. So exalting it is actually profitable. It's not profitable in warbands with like 900 alts. You don't do it there because you'll lose, and it's just not worth as much. On standard, however, it is worth.
So you're saying it's 1 in 350 alts? That's it?
That's it in standard. Yeah, it's a lot cheaper than.
Oh, you're saying for an exalt. What's
Yeah.
the probability of landing one of those mods solo?
Oh, I believe it's like I forgot the odds, but I generally get one in every 1,000 or 800 maybe.
And that's on a bow, not something that can roll caster mods.
Oh my god, those are like a dagger. Those things are ridiculously hard to get like highest. Ridiculous.
So you're looking at
Don't
like
waste
1
your
in like
credit card.
3,000.
Yeah, it's something stupid like that. I remember Flubby doing it back in those old leagues, and he was complaining. He's like, "Why do these people want so much for this sword?" And I'm like, go try it yourself. He's like, "Fuck this shit. I'm not alting this. I'm just gonna buy it." It's a lot.
All right. So, okay, with that, NPK actually asked a question in the chat. He said, "What's the success chance of this method of I don't know. What's the success chance of this method, though, assuming you do it on standard, is profitable? Can you do it in a temp league if you focus on it, or is the market of exalts to profit not achievable?"
No, the reason why it's so profitable in standard is because of the longevity of your item. So if you get a mirrorable item in standard, it'll like with those two mods, it'll always or until they release new mods, it'll always be you'll profit a lot on the mirror fees because you can finish it pretty easily if you got those two mods. And so
You say pretty easily, but like, what are
you're
we
talking
talking?
about 200 Eternals maybe to finish it.
Oh, okay. That easy. Okay.
But there are a lot there are a handful of people who will pay that. AXN especially will pay that. And so there actually was one rolled on warbands, and somebody sniped it before I could get it.
Who owns it now?
I don't know. They don't have it posted. They have a merciless plus dictators but harbinger. The guy
Oh,
got it. He posted it on Reddit, and somebody commented on it, and I contacted him like, "How much do you want? I'll buy this from you." He's like, "Oh, it's not for sale." I'm like, "Okay, good luck with it." And I find out the next day it was gone from his account because he was using it. He had another bow. It's like somebody got to him.
Well, someone got it. It was one of those notorious scanners, the things that let people
like
know.
that. I actually
joking.
believe that 100%.
Oh, really?
Like as soon as, but Chris says it doesn't work. But is that thing got sniped, and it was his Reddit posts were deleted. That mentioned had a link to it. It was like a day after it got sniped. Right?
You're talking about the thing that scans inventories, right?
But he was using it though, so there might be somebody out there who had been scanning and saw that pop up and went and offered them.
It's a conspiracy.
No,
I mean, there are a lot of
that's
things.
serious. Like it was on him one day, and it was the best in the league at the time, I believe. And the next day he didn't have it posted on the forums. Next day, and then poof, gone. And I haven't contacted him about it since.
Yeah, I was surprised because I mean, Chris denied. He's like,
Yeah, he
man,
said,
my programmers have been working hard at trying to find
but
loopholes.
that was about inventory. That he had this on, so it was possible a scanner could pick it up, but illegal, like what that Track Pete guy has. He was scanning people's inventory, which were set to available. It wasn't in his inventory where you saw it. It was in his weapons.
Like he was equipped, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you can't see someone's inventory.
Yeah, I think that's bullshit. But you can see their character.
Yeah, I'm not trying to discredit, what Chris said or
yeah.
anything, or I'm not trying to say that they don't know their code, they don't know their back end well enough that they can't cover things like this. But if someone really had that sort of an advantage, if someone really had the potential to do that and the tools, I mean, they wouldn't share it. I mean, it would just be.
They wouldn't know.
It's like that Reddit post that came up last week. It's like, if you knew an Exalted Orb recipe, what would you do with it? And overwhelmingly, I want to say 70% of the players would not share it, for a few leagues. And then 30, half of those players wouldn't share it ever. So, with these tools and these things, it doesn't really seem like, it doesn't seem likely that GGG would ever know unless they found out themselves.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
And there were a lot of things in Reddit last week when this all broke that, did get sniped or taken down or, downvoted right away. I mean, there was almost like a witch hunt, and, you were mentioned in it. And that actually brings me to my question. How has this affected you, if at all?
Oh, I mean, me playing it hasn't affected me at all. But it's pretty discouraging when everyone's calling me a fucking liar and shit. Because I'm not. That's not who I am. I don't know why you're assuming this. I mean, I would have kept it a secret too, but I wouldn't lie to people. I wouldn't go out there and actively keep it a secret by lying and deceiving. That's not who I am. I don't do that. If I knew about it, I just keep quiet, just like everyone else.
Right. And you weren't actually directly called out for it. Like, you weren't the person that was, like, I think this guy is doing it. And, we all know. And I'm just going to say the name. It's not really name dropping since most of us read the thread. But, Vok was calling out Lightwoods. Vok was specifically saying Lightwoods did this. And he talked about you in, that stream that Gouda had. Mm-hmm. And if you guys haven't watched it, you should go, check out that VOD for Gouda. But, Vok specifically said that Ventor, he's a stand-up trader because you could tell because he's never changed his name. Like, he's never like hid behind a different identity. He's never had to worry about that. And I think that speaks a lot to this situation. And pretty much, yeah, with that said, I'm just like, and it just sucks because you just happen to be the person that you answered something in Reddit. I
made a mistake.
Yeah, you answered something in Reddit, and then Carl responded and followed GGG's, like, guidelines, right? Like, he
retracted his...
Yeah, he retracted it. He was just doing what...
I didn't even see that.
Yeah.
Like, I thought I'd be able to see it.
I don't know how long it was up. And I was actually
less than 10 minutes because
somebody at GGG disagreed or whatever, and then he pulled it down.
Okay, so let's say you did. Let's say if you saw it, if you saw that question, would you have been like, "Whoa, like I'm gonna look into this," or would you?
Of course.
Or would you have been like, "Oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about. I've tried this."
Yeah, I mean, I would have tried it if I saw it, but I didn't see it. He was taken down too quick.
For what it's worth, I believe you.
Yeah, I believe you too.
Thank you. I mean, I'm not some freaking, dirtbag.
I think it kind of all stemmed because Chris is like,
anyone who's known me would not say I would do something like that.
Yeah, I mean, Chris said, there is an advantage to fooling people into thinking one thing or just using misdirection.
I saw that. I saw that he wrote that, and it kind of irritated me when I saw that because he was like implying that I did. I mean, and he should. I think what Chris should have done is contact me. He was like, "Hey, I see what's going on. Did you know about this?" I would have told him no, and so he could have cleared it up with everyone. Now I'm getting like downvote brigaded and Reddit. I can,
you can't post anything.
I got hate messages and people telling me to kill myself and shit like that.
Welcome to the club, man.
I haven't got those yet.
You haven't made it big until you get those downvote witch hunts.
Now,
Right. I mean, the thing is, like, for me and Hedgie, we kind of had a different insight to Ventor because we did those other podcasts, and a lot of people that probably were taking part in this pseudo Reddit witch hunt, everything that occurred last week, probably didn't listen to those podcasts. And you were pretty open about, your crafting methods and everything that you did. And there wasn't ever a point where you were describing your method where it seemed like you were hiding something. Like, you were pretty straightforward with it. And so when I saw this, I was like, oh, okay. But do I think that there are other people that, did benefit from it or use it? Yeah, and I think that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, did Lightwoods end up getting his name changed?
I have no clue.
I heard he did. I mean, he blatantly lied to everyone, and so did his streamer buddy.
Porter?
Huh?
Was it Porter?
Yeah, Porter. I mean, they even made a post saying this is how we got 72 mirrors. Chris is like, no one fucking has 72 mirrors.
Right.
Quit this shit out. Like,
yeah, that actually threw me off a little bit.
Why would you randomly lie like that?
Yeah.
It's just really strange to me how you do that. When I say I have something, I have something.
You want to get that respect.
Yeah.
You're like, oh my god, these guys are the kings.
I don't know. Well, okay, so all right, so yeah, we've kind of talked about the drama. Let's talk about moving forward. So we've already seen some like repercussions of this ever since the start of the league. +3 weapons are, they've been dropping in price. Well,
easily accessible.
+3 bows have dropped in price. Well, I think +3 staffs have actually gone up in price because they're much more difficult to roll, aren't they?
I haven't really been doing those.
Yeah, I don't know. They just, yeah, they cost more to roll, while the +3 bow is like 3 exalts and you could be done. You know, you could get that really easily. Minus, you know, wanting to get a 5 link or a 6 link. But so at the start, as you played Warbands, at the start of Warbands, when you saw the price of exalts going up, you know, going as high as they did. I don't know, what are they right now in Warbands?
They're like 80 or 75, 80 chaos to the exalt.
And
it's pretty insane.
Yeah.
But like everyone thinks that's, I mean, that is a contributing factor to why the exalt price is up, but there are a lot of factors to consider.
Right.
A lot. And, you know, one thing like that, like those guys doing that will not influence the market that much.
True.
Yeah, not nearly, you know, a lot of exalts drop every day, and them consuming a bit, you know, the large majority of people don't consume them.
Right.
You know?
I mean, the reasons why I actually thought that the price of exalts were going up, there were 4. One, this Metacrafting thing was one little part of it. Another one was the fact that chaos have lost value a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, for example, Dried Lake. Dried Lake is an amazing farming area. It's accessible. People do it. Like, I was actually doing Dried Lake today for 3 or 4 hours, and I made like 40 chaos just doing it, just through the chaos recipe. Like, I was making so much.
That's always existed. I mean, I don't think it's so much the chaos has lost value, because I think chaos is, it's retained it. It's just the exalted is increase in value. I mean, relative to
Dried Lake hasn't always existed, though. Not Dry Lake specifically. It's right outside of a zone.
Yeah, but you could dogs farm and do chaos recipe.
I mean, I think the density in Dry Lake is better. And there's a boss in Dry Lake.
Yeah, maybe.
So, I mean, that's another reason that I thought. And then another reason that I was actually thinking was just because we have more players right now. And whether people like to believe this or not, but just because you have more supply doesn't mean things are going to go down in price. Like, when there are more players, that means more people are, you know, using the currency.
Also, another thing, you know, to add is that exalts are really rare to get in a drop sense. And you're right to assume that more population means higher exalt prices, like in a league that has just started, because the market's going to kind of spread itself out to kind of more or less dictate or reflect the drop ratios and, you know, what's coming in and what's going out. Barely any exalts are, you know, coming in, but tons of and tons of chaos are coming in. So it's more likely to kind of, you know, disperse like that if there's more people playing.
Well, one of the biggest things I think we haven't mentioned is the removal of the Eternal Orb has caused YOLO exalting, you know, all over the place. I mean, people now aren't like, well, I have this 4-property tier 1 item. I don't have to wait for an exalt anymore. It's just, I'm just going to YOLO it. Yeah. I mean, that's using it on your gear. And then at this point of the league where people have, like, you know, fine-tuned their build and they're just missing that prefix on their ring and they're crafting %ES or % armor or whatever, just, you know, min-maxing their characters, YOLO exalting the last property on their gear. I mean, I think that's a big contributor of, like, the consumption. I actually feel like the exalted orb it's, you know, at 60 to 70, 80. That's what it's valued at because it's so damn rare. I mean, like, how what's gonna come first? You generating 70 chaos or finding 1 exalt? I'm gonna go with generating 70 chaos.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. I mean, a lot of people probably like really don't think of it like that.
Yeah, and with the loop filters, people are finding a ton of chromatics. You know, you can easily convert those to smaller currency. The only currency it's not, you know, being exponentially found is, you know, the exalted. You know, so you got your quantity and rarity gear increasing the amount of, you know, sets people are finding to do the recipe. You've got you're finding these gavels. You're finding more chromatics because, you know, your filter tells you there's one right here. So that all contributes to it as well. And the only thing the filter doesn't help is the exalt, really. I mean, sure, someone might, miss an exalt sometimes, but I don't think a filter's going to be that big of a deal. When an exalt drops, you kind of hear that big clunk, you know?
Yeah.
And that's another thing. Diplo Dorcas just said that, exalting jewels is another thing. Yeah, and we kind of touched on that. Like, and I've actually said this before. I said this in a Reddit post that got downvoted. I don't know why, but I said, since there are more things to exalt, people are going to hold on to their exalts. Like they're just going to be more willing to use them for themselves rather than trade them.
Yeah.
And I have and everyone, like, I got a lot of hate for that, but
yeah, I mean that's true as well. I mean, jewels being exalted because you got 3 stats. I mean, one more, there's a good chance you're not getting something that you're useful. I mean, throw an exalt on it.
Yeah, 3-stat jewels already
demand
worthwhile.
for exalts has just gone up, as well as it's a lot of factors that contribute to it.
Yeah, honestly,
go
like
for it.
the way I kind of look at it is, like, how does the chaos hold up to all the other ones? And you're still able to get the same alteration rate. You can get a slightly better chrome rate because people are finding so many more chromes. I think fusings have taken a slight dive, or I don't know. They're just, you can get a lot more fusings now for really, really easy because everybody's got their 6-link or their 5-link. They don't have to really spend as many, so there's just more circulating than we've been used to in the past. But yeah, I mean, what were you gonna say, Ventor?
Oh shit, can't remember. I was just listening to you. If it comes up, I'll talk about it.
Well, I mean, I don't know. We actually, in our last podcast with Ventor, we were talking about how we thought alterations were going to become more valuable because of jewels, and that didn't really turn out like that. Because, I mean, I think there was a picture in Reddit recently of someone like saying, "This is warbands right now," and it had like this person like standing outside of a furnace and like just bundles of chaos orbs just like falling out of it, and just like with so many more chaos orbs, that's gonna hurt its value a little bit. And with so many more chaos orbs, chaos spamming jewels is pretty good. Like, it's pretty effective because what you want on like a GG jewel is 4 properties, right? But if you get a jewel with 3 good properties for you, you're gonna use it. Like, it's most likely worth it for your build. So, chaos
spamming on weapons and armor seems to be dead. Like,
really?
I haven't seen anyone use any on their gear, like to get gear.
I've used a lot on Celestial Justicar. I think people have been dumping a lot into that, and then in the other one that's changed that bind. I think a lot.
No, I mean, like, no one's chaos. Like, say they need like some gloves. They don't Alkin and chaos spam like high eye level gloves.
Oh yeah.
That's what people used to do, because I guess that has to do with people before not being accessible to the high eye level maps. But now it's a lot. I wouldn't say a lot easier, but people can get to like 77s relatively easy. That's where the good stuff drops.
Oh, that's a funny thing to say, because about 2 weeks ago, people would have been like, "No, you can't get to 77s easy."
It's really hard to get to the 80s, 70, but I had shitty ass gear and I got to 76s really easy.
Right.
76, like I couldn't, I maintained them relatively well. I wouldn't run them as soon as I got them. I'd pull like 5 or 6, from like 74s and 75s, and then
Vizzy is calling you out right now. He is saying that you have not been watching any streams, and Moors has been chaos spamming his gear, and so is Xeno. And
I don't watch streams. I have a lot of friends,
Well, yeah, I mean, so you were saying that people aren't really chaos spamming their chests.
That's just my opinion.
Yeah,
I could be wrong. Don't take my word as law. Like, right. I could be wrong, sure. But that's just what I think.
Yeah, well, but it's kind of true. I mean, people have probably been putting a lot more value on chess piece these challenge leagues,
and the fact that uniques are really a lot more. Like, they're more abundant in not particular ones, but there's like lots of chess pieces you can use, unique ones that are like pretty decent. Like you know, rare chess pieces are fucking pieces of shit compared to like lightning coil and shit.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah,
lightning coil is really
Like,
good.
why would you waste your currency rolling a chess when you could just pool it for a nice lightning coil? Like, you know?
Well, there's a good reason because a lightning coil is like 13x. It's
Now
like
they've
Are
been
they?
going down though. They've been going down quite a
I
bit.
paid
I mean,
5 for mine.
still, it's
Oh,
still
Tempest,
stupid
right?
expensive. Yeah, I mean,
Oh yeah, that's Tempest.
did
So,
any
I
of you
mean,
guys catch that one that document where somebody compiled like what people are wearing,
oh yeah,
and
Track Pete. That was really interesting to see.
yeah, I was looking at that and I was like, man. And then when I went to chess pieces and I looked at how many people were using rares, and just the general consensus is like people are more inclined to use rares in hardcore leagues than the softcore leagues, which I thought was really interesting.
Well,
People,
couldn't you fund your like everything else if you were to find a lightning coil or use it? I mean, you could use it, but like, or you could sell it and just finance the rest of your gear. Is that
I think it
Yeah.
depends on your build, really. I mean,
you can make a 13. I mean, I only feel like when you get to that lightning quill stage, you're chaining 79 to 82 maps.
Yeah.
Like you're at that point of the game where you just can't afford to die, and you built up a lot of currency, and you need everything, like Taste of Hate, coil,
yeah, that's
CG gear.
that is what sucks about Tempest. Is I really feel like that right now. I'm like making my characters, and I feel like I need a lightning coil and a Taste of Hate, and that's such a huge investment. And I don't think that I could skip out on that by getting a Celestial Justicar and Chaos spamming it. Like I could only get so much mitigation out of that, while the mitigation I get from Lightning Coil and a Taste of Hate together is insane.
it is insane.
And I am just waiting for the Tempest Warbands hybrid leagues, because
This would be interesting.
yeah, because I really want to get a Lightning Coil, a Taste of Hate, and the Warbands mod on your helm that's 10%
yeah.
fire
Yeah.
damage take, or
That
10%
mod
damage
is
taken as
insane.
fire. Yeah, so you could get so much, and it's so ridiculous. And you combine that with other defenses too, like
Yeah. I feel that they need to redo armor, because the fact that like if you stack a lot of armor, it still doesn't help you against heavy hitting attacks, and I think that's the issue. Whereas Lightning Coil and Taste of Hate, they do help you, and that's why people flock to them. So these big hitting attacks, you're like, why should I stack all this armor? It's just going to go right through it, pierce it. So that's why people are stacking that. I mean, because armor does really nicely against like small hitting attacks, but fast. It does really nicely against that. But comes those big hits that come in, it's like nope.
Well, I mean, if you have
pierces it.
fortify endurance charges, it's like a meat shield. It's really good, but it's not going to prevent you from those volatile deaths. And man, volatiles are just like brutal.
Hedgie hates volatiles.
I hate volatiles, man.
It's like
God.
he was talking about it on stream. It's like
Those
that's
things
his
that
bane.
pop.
Yeah, they explode.
Yeah.
It's like one of three elements. Like when you're running Arctic armor, and you got like fire flask or whatever, nice. You could cover like 30% of the volatiles, but you get the other two, and those explode in your face, and you're done. Like you need like 6.5, 7k HP to take one to the dome. It sucks.
I don't know. I mean,
hate-
I think we could make plenty of arguments to change defenses, or just move things around that we don't need to even talk about volatiles. Like there are plenty of other issues. Like yeah, the right side of the tree with evasion and acrobatics should probably get another 30 to 40% maximum life easy.
But see, that's the thing. Like, I think it's okay. I think it's okay on the right side, with the exception of volatiles. I think their defenses are like unique. I like the way it works, but volatiles is one of those things like you can't dodge it, you can't block it, you can't evade it. It's just
you could just avoid
resist
it.
You just have to be away from it,
Yeah, you
right?
just have to
Yeah.
be away from it.
yeah, and
That's
too.
also an issue. Is like melee is
Yeah,
it's inherently worse than range, because you're not in front of the mob that's hitting you. They have to close the distance, and a range can usually take them out before then.
Well,
And so melee.
and GGG has mentioned that we are looking at, or that they are looking at I might be wrong, but like a Fortify version or a caster version of Fortify.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's ever going to be like in any game. You can't fix it because melee is melee, because you're up close. You're more susceptible to hits. Range is range. You're further away.
Right.
I remember in WoW there'd been several time periods where the raid leader just wouldn't bring melee because why bring someone who's in up close when you can bring them that they're far away, and they do the same damage. So that's just something I've seen over the years in gaming.
Yeah.
Is that melee tend to have just an inherent disadvantage just because they're up close.
And bringing this back to trading and PoE, then this is one of the reasons why I just don't want to get too much off topic. Sorry. That Lightning Coil and Taste of Hate are just ridiculous, and they almost feel necessary for armor and evasion builds alike. And the only reason why you wouldn't use it is if you're like low life, if you're using a Shabs, which then, with the Shabs, I'm like, so cool, I could get 8k ES pretty easily, but I'm still going to get dunked. Like, I'm still going to get wrecked by things. So
yeah, I mean, most of the Shabs builds and stuff, they get a lot of defenses through max res and super buff auras, utilizing the flask that's nearby the witch. And yeah, I mean, there's just a certain point where it comes down to you can't afford it. I mean, mapping, especially at the high level, is super expensive. And then on top of that, you need to add like what's a Taste of Hate going for? 7, 8 exalts?
Yeah,
I
like
sold
8 or
mine
9.
for 6. Or
Yeah.
on warbands for 6.
Yeah, and I mean those are just such high demand items. Like,
Yeah. Also, I want to bring up another issue I think that the PoE's suffering from right now is the trade system right now. I think it desperately needs some help from GGG, not just the PoE trade guy, because I mean an issue I think is a problem is because everyone has their items priced usually in exalts or chaos or whatnot have you, but when inflation takes place in the game, it doesn't necessarily the people putting their items up don't necessarily immediately compensate for that. So someone puts up their item for 5 exalts, and at the beginning of the league that's like 50 chaos, and say that 5 exalt item they don't change it, and so 2 weeks go by, it's up to 75 chaos, and it's still 5 exalts, and so the need for exalts, I mean, it just perpetuates it. You need these 5 because you want this item, but they're not changing the price. What initially was 5, but that was less than it was now. And they don't change it. I mean, not necessarily, not everyone. And I've seen that it happen. Right? Even I do that. Like I put an item at like 4 exalts, and 2 weeks later, I can't be bothered to change all my prices again. So
Yeah, it just stays there.
I'm the same way. I haven't changed any of my prices.
It's an issue because people aren't willing to. They don't like offering. They just like buying out the item. So what you're left with is just people just not contacting you, the price sticking, just items are overpriced, just because. I mean, I personally don't have time to go through my list, change all the prices to reflect the actual. I like when people come in, hey, I don't agree with your price. Would you take this? Sure, that's fine. But I can see why they're afraid too, because a lot of people have such negative reactions to offers. Why would you be mad at someone just giving you their offer? It's nothing but helping you.
Right. Yeah, it lets you know, if you get that offer 3 times.
Yeah, it's good.
You're like, okay,
feedback.
well, maybe it is overpriced. Maybe, I should charge a little bit less. I mean, but so, and this kind of relates to, the whole like chaos to exalt issue, that it just turned into me just charging more for my items that I would usually sell for 1 or 2 chaos.
Yeah.
I went from, like dual res gloves that had life, I would usually charge like a chaos for it, and now they're 2 chaos, and if they're 4 linked, they're 4 or 5 chaos, and because I'm not going to make 50 or 60 trades to get an exalt, I'll make 15 to 20. That seems reasonable, and so Yeah, and that's another thing for me. I don't know, what if you guys did that or if you kind of kept everything at the same prices.
Yeah, I mean, I generally, I try to look at the market and see what each is valued at, but my anchor is usually an Exalt. That's what I anchor my prices at. How, do I think this is worth a tenth of an Exalt? Do I think it is an Exalt? That's where I usually anchor it at, and I maybe that's the same for a lot of people. I don't know, but I feel that may be the case. So that's like the standard now. Is everyone is an Exalt or Chaos, the one of the two, you know?
Yeah, yeah, especially now,
Yeah, with
especially
lightning.
now.
Yeah, everyone just goes off, off Exalts.
Yeah, I
Yeah, it
mean,
wasn't like that. Hedgie, you played during the beginning of open beta, right?
yeah. I
Of
mean, I
the
played at
game like 3 years ago.
yeah, I played every single version.
It
Well,
did.
I
Yeah, it didn't matter what you paid people in. Like there was like Exalts were nice or valuable, but they weren't like if you had 15 Exalts worth of Chaos, Jewels, and GCPs, people would take it. Now
mhm,
it's like I want Exalts. That's it.
yeah. It's such a hot commodity, man. It's the new coin, but it's so interesting because everybody reacts kind of in the same way, where it's like we went from 1 week exalts being like 50 to 1, and then 40 to 1 to all of a sudden when that recipe was leaked, you saw exalts just going boom 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 boom.
Hmm.
Like 7 or 8 days later, they've gone up 15 to 20 chaos per exalt,
Yep.
and people still leave their celestial justice at 1, and like their taste of hates at 1. The divination card, I'm talking about the divination cards. And
Hmm.
like they don't change those prices, and like what, did these things go up in value all of a sudden? Well, are we not accounting for all the changes? And I guess the answer is no. I mean, those things increase in value because people just like to deal with that coin for something that rare.
Yeah, I think another thing too is that although we have like a large rush of new players, we also have a lot of players who've been sticking around for quite a while. I don't want to say people that played since beta, but like for me, I started playing a Nemesis right after the launch of the game, and I think a lot of people just kind of got complacent and they got used to Exalts, being that 30 to 40
Hmm.
chaos range, and we had that for such a long time, and then 2.0 hits and Exalts are double that, and
Like
it's just
people don't like change.
yeah, they don't
Like,
like change. And my first thought was, well, we have more players. Like we just have more players. So and
yeah,
that makes sense to me if we have more players, and I'm okay with that.
yeah. I honestly don't think it's a problem that exalts are worth a lot. I mean, that's how it is. I mean, it just reflects, what people want. I mean, there's no problem with exalts being 120 cast. There's no like
It also
that.
reflects their power.
Yeah, it reflects their
Hmm.
power. That's what it does. People, when it changes, people are like, "Whoa, this is wrong. This is wrong. There's
It's
something wrong."
broken.
Yeah, and they complain. They're like, "This isn't how it was. It's wrong." Like, no,
People
it's not
hate change.
necessarily wrong. It's just changed. That's
Yeah.
what people value it more now. There's nothing. Yeah, but however, people do need to reflect these changes in their prices. So,
Yeah.
like a lightning coil at the start of the league, 10 exalt. I mean, and when it gets twice as value, it needs to reflect that and be 5 exalt. Unless the demand for that goes up, but
Which it has.
yeah, which it has. But that's probably a bad example. What I'm saying is probably like uh, I don't know, RC's gauntlets. Like I think like 2 exalts or something like that. If exalts double, why they say the same? They're pretty standard. Not too much um demand for it. I don't think it's increasing like the exalt value is.
Right.
So they
And
should
Yeah.
reflect that change.
and that's another thing too, is that we also had a balance to the rarity, like the rarity tiers for a lot of uniques. And
Yeah.
so a lot of uniques that people, like you brought up Orseas, that's a really good example of it because you could get in beyond, or what was the last one?
Bloodlines.
Bloodlines, yeah. You could get a 50% Orsees for 10 chaos. You know, and that was actually a little much. Like, you could probably get them for like 6 or 8. But now they're, you know, just because their tier got changed, they are a lot more. But another thing I actually want to talk about was I think a lot more people are going to be valuing their masters a lot more than they were before. And I am definitely a product of this. Like, when this hit, like, I used to avoid Katarina like the plague.
Yeah,
I just didn't care. I didn't care about Katarina.
I get like level 5, and
I just didn't want to deal with Katarina, and it was whatever. But then as soon as like all this metacrafting thing came out, I was like, God damn it. And just because now I think a lot of people are going to focus a lot more on their masters, which I think is a good thing, because I think this makes crafting a lot more accessible to players. But in turn, you know, in what goes hand in hand with it is if it's more accessible, people are going to use the currency that they need more. And if they're using that currency more, the values of that currency are going to go up.
Yeah, and then it's going to be unaccessible anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, not really unaccessible, just longer to... I mean, that's just the nature of the market, you know? You know, good things are going to be expensive. You know, you can't just have, you know... That makes for a poor game where everything is easily accessible. I mean,
right.
Yeah.
That's what people think they want, but in reality, when you can get anything you want at the drop of a hat, you know...
They get bored.
Bored.
I beat
the
the
game
game.
developers don't want... I mean, that's why they increase the rarity of the you know, those really good uniques. Like Arceus went up in tier because it was just too good and it was too easy to get. I mean, it's just natural.
Yeah, Arceus, gold rims, gold worms, gold rims. Yeah. Like, they all went up in tier, and I mean they all.
You say people are gonna get like they're gonna take their masters more seriously or whatever, but honestly, I don't feel that's the case with me, especially because I mean I think only the people that are looking to capitalize on early league crafting and getting ahead and getting that really huge jump start, I think those are the kinds of people that'll take masters more seriously, and you know,
hardcore people who just know they can get it before everyone else.
Yeah, and all it really
for it.
takes is like one person that you know that's got it, you know, like it. I still won't have the incentive of getting my masters level 8. In fact, the only league that I got my masters level 8 was the one Forsaken Masters. What was it? The Atziri expansion. That was because it required you to get level 8 masters for the achievement, for the challenges. Other than that, like, I'm probably just going to get them to 7 because it takes a lot of time to get to 8 and a lot of investment.
Yeah, it does. Didn't they nerf it, though? I remember getting it with my guildie Findo. We farmed that, you know, back when I was going hardcore on the game, like, we farmed that every day, all day.
Yeah.
I mean, that was most, you know, I wouldn't say difficult. It was, you know, most grindy experience in the game was getting all of those.
I was miserable.
I think the key with masters, though, is doing it with a group, not solo, not even like with one other person. Yeah, doing your dailies with
rotate.
Yeah, with like 4 or 5 people, and I think you'll get up there.
I mean, even then, I was like cringing at like, oh man, gotta set up another group, gotta find people, gotta spam trade. That just was like it wasn't a pleasurable experience for me grinding my masters to level 8, but I did it because I had to, and only because I had to.
Well, you know, so I think a lot more people are actually interested in crafting in Path of Exile than it would seem. It was just it was kind of out of reach, but now it doesn't feel so out of reach, you know, because I'm like, well, you know, I could get a couple of exalts, you know, pretty easily. I could craft this. You know, the question is like, you know, depending on your build, what are you going to craft? You know, I play Poison Arrow, so it's pretty straightforward for me. I'm just going to craft a +3 bow. Now, doing the other crafting where, you know, you look for that 3 property item and you wipe everything besides those 3 prefixes that are perfect, I think that crafting is a little bit harder and it's not so accessible, but it's still, I think, in all honesty, I think the master crafting the master crafting method is much better than the older method of eternal orbs, because you can put a temporary mod on your item, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, if you're like, well, one day, you know, I'm gonna craft this, but for right now, let me slap on this placeholder, whatever resistance or move speed or whatever you want the placeholder to be. You can do that now, or you've always been able to do that, but now it's just like, well, now I could wipe everything else, and I could like really craft items.
Mm-hmm. I think that opens up a lot of a lot for people. You don't like I think what you find is a little bit more valuable now because since that exists, say you find some Karui mall with like 230%, and then you can wipe its suffixes in and add flat fizz. You know, it's valuable. Like, you know, it's not perfect, but it's really good for your build, and it would have been, you know, even with Eternals, useless.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's definitely true. There are items now that, you know, before with the general crafting knowledge, you know, for the crafting knowledge that most of us had, that Eternals didn't make a difference. The item was bricked.
Yeah.
Like it just didn't matter. You know, you had like this three tier 1 property dagger, and then it had, you know, a low resist on it. Yeah, it had a low resist on it, and it was just bricked, you know. But now it's just like, no, wait, back up. This is still really good. In fact, I have some pieces of gear in hardcore that I held on to. So it's like, man, this is really good. I don't want it's like some gloves that have of the troll on it. You know, the perfect suffix that you don't want of the troll. And
the troll.
Yeah, and they're like 200 ES evasion gloves. I don't know, and now I'm like, well, I'm glad I kept those because now I could actually craft them.
Yeah. I'm in the same boat with you, but on standard, I still have some things I need to.
Well, you're on a yacht. I'm on a boat.
That's just peanuts.
Yeah. You're on the, you're on the yacht.
Yeah.
Speaking of like currency in general, like, have you guys been paying attention to the Divine Orb? I mean, like, this is the longest I've seen Divine Orb stay like this cheap. Usually it's like 5 chaos.
Well, corrupting
4 chaos. Yeah, I mean, like,
what are they in warbands?
They're 12. They're 12 in warbands, like 12 to 15, right?
That's crazy.
Yeah, and you can get like how many more? Like the exalt prices like go up, and the divines are, they still stay relative to the chaos. It's very interesting. You're gonna have to pay more and more divines just to get that X.
Yeah, but I honestly like divines more than exalt because
I do too, man.
It can't break your item. Like,
yeah,
it can just. I mean, it can make it worse, but you can always invest a little bit more and kind of re-roll it. That's why I like divine so much. I've actually got 2 Ventur's Gambles that anytime I got one that I keep because I like the rolls, and then I have another one which anytime I get a divine, I just dump it in there.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. I linked you that one that I got today.
Yeah.
I was like, I threw 1 divine into it, and I got like a pretty good roll.
You got like all positive.
Yeah, all positive. Yeah. I was like, okay, well, cool, thanks. So okay.
In chat are saying it's 18C in warbands now.
Yeah,
so they have gone up a little bit.
15 though, like 15.8. I mean, it's a little.
Yeah, that's about right. I mean, that's what they were. They were like 12 to 15 before.
And how much are they in standard?
I don't know. I don't play standard right now. I get on there occasionally, do a mirror service or something like that, but aside from that, I don't really play. Or I sell something, or
Yeah, well, I mean, needless to say, like the trading and currency in the economy has changed quite a bit with 2.0, but I really think that it's much more related to the fact that we have just a higher amount of players versus all the recent scandal, however people want to put it. But also another thing I actually want to talk to you guys about, and it's not really about trading, but the leagues. So how have you been enjoying warbands? Like, are you finding it enjoyable to stay in?
I honestly am a bit envious of Tempest. That seems a lot cool. I don't play Tempest, but it looks really cool. I wish Warbands was more like that. Warbands is okay, but I think Tempest is more like you want to go find those Tempests. Warbands is like, if they're there, cool. Not necessarily like, unless you're doing the challenge, you don't really care if they're there or not. but Tempest is totally different ball game.
Yeah, Tempest is really fun. I don't think Hedgie's been too much into like the Tempest hunting.
I think that's cool. Corrupt Tempest looks fucking fun. Like
Honestly, I've loved both leagues. I've had a lot of fun in both, and I don't really know why people have so much beef with either. I mean, I don't know. It's the warbands. They were difficult with the right map mods when you're doing them in high maps, and you're getting generals. Man, that they were very very scary, and they felt dynamic. I mean, there's so many crazy abilities going on, so much action,
dodging and shit. Like
Yeah.
sometimes you get ones that are just like, God damn, stay still.
yeah.
Like
It's
no.
just very evasive, very threatening, and it's just a good mix of both. I enjoyed both leagues thoroughly. I finished my 8 of 8, and I still log in every day and do the dailies. It's because I mean I don't dislike either league. I think they're both pretty good.
Yeah, I actually find it interesting that people are already, saying like, "Oh, when's the next league?" And I'm like, I'm having so much fun in Tempest. Like, Tempest hunting in maps is fun. Like, it makes doing low-level maps worthwhile. Because it's like,
Yeah.
like doing, before it's like,
makes
oh,
sense.
I'm not going to do a 68 because it's not going to get me any experience, but I'll do a 68 if it's going to get me, all these divine orbs I need for my Ventor's Gamble.
Such a strong. I wouldn't say strong. I would say very tempting.
Tempting.
Yeah, tempting. Haha. I've been wanting to play Tempest, but I don't want to start over again. When I have this league, I'm on this league. I might actually try it next few weeks or so, but
Right. Well, you could just trade your currency from Warbands to Tempest.
you can do that. Is it? I thought
Yeah.
that was.
Yeah, it's legal.
Yeah, you could do it from Challenge League to Challenge League and from Permanent League to Permanent League, but you can't do it
Okay,
like
you
Challenge
can't
to
do
Permanent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be unfair.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, you should definitely check out Tempest. And, actually how this kind of relates to everything is I'm curious to see how the trading trends and how the economy is going to move along as the leagues, last longer. Because, before, we had these 3-month challenge leagues, and 2 months in, people were like, well, time to liquidate all my chaos or all my exalts to chaos because I'm just going to go to hardcore. I'm just going to go to standard.
Mm-hmm.
And, I obviously we'll still see the same thing, but, how much it's going to change between now and then is, very interesting to me because there's still a lot of like trading going on.
They haven't announced it's going to be more than 3 months, right?
Yeah, it's going to be more.
I heard that they haven't
sure.
even announced the end yet. So
Yeah.
it's gonna be
I mean, they
3+.
found that whenever people know the end of times, there's a
Yeah.
drastic drop in
That's probably
activity.
good change on them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
not-
for me, that's usually the life of the league. When I'm no longer able to trade for anything, like there's just so many items that nobody logs on for. That's when the fun starts
It's going
dwindling because I want to finish my builds and I want to get good items, and it doesn't matter how much currency you have. Sometimes, like, if the person doesn't log on or if the item is not there available for trade, then it makes the game a lot less interesting. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe, yeah,
I
I mean,
agree.
trading definitely needs to be addressed in order to keep leagues alive longer.
Yeah, I feel that's something they really need to do is to implement something to increase. Like it's been far too long that we've been relying on a third-party source to make sure our trading's going okay. Like I recently had all my mirror items, their buyouts just taken off, and I've been getting weird-ass messages. People, hey, how much is this? I'm like, it should say it in like 5 KS. I'm like, what? No, dude, it says a mirror, and like, no, it doesn't say anything. I was like, God damn it.
Yeah, I've actually had that happen recently too.
I had to keep bumping it until it updated again, which was it happened for a few days. I didn't know what the issue was, but
Yeah, I mean, I know they've said that they're working on it, and I feel for GGG because people expect a lot from them, and as we should, right? Like we should, want a good product from them.
mm-hmm. It shouldn't ever get to the point where you're like everything's fine.
Right.
If it ever gets to that point, that means the game's dead. Like people are just holding on to hope. Like, but as long as people are like, we want this, that means there's interest. That means they want the game to progress. They want a better, product. from GGG, which is good. You know.
Yeah, and keep buying those supporter packs. Also,
Yeah, I bought a big $60. I actually, previous to this, I actually have like, I bought tons of packs of points. I never bought it with the supporter packs. I have like, 80 tabs or something like that.
Oh yeah.
But I just bought the points and it just went for the tabs. I actually bought a Axiom supporter pack this time.
You can convert that though. You can convert
I haven't been bothered to be honest. I have to email them, right?
Yeah, you can
like
consolidate them.
Nah, I don't care. I'm not gonna take anyone's time. I really don't care about the, the shiny shit I get. I've never cared about that. My guildies are always just like, you look like a piece of shit, Mentor.
Right.
Like, 'cause I have like no.
You're the only person with like.
Yeah.
Just the regular skin.
The
ornate ring mail.
My witch looks like a fucking like homeless witch. Like
yeah,
you see it like in like.
So okay, so all right, now with all this new information with metacrafting and the changes to the currency, to the values for exalts and chaos, you had mentioned a little earlier that if you ever go back to crafting. Like, so now are you actually thinking about not being like now not crafting, or like how are you gonna go about it now?
Once there's the temp leagues kind of flatline, I'm gonna probably go back to the standard, and as I said earlier, I'll probably use that method that I was talking about with exalting and regaling items to get those 2 prefixes, then going for a full-on craft. I'll probably do that until
nice
Eternals aren't in standard anymore.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because there's still quite
There's
a bit.
a limited amount.
And you have quite a bit, don't you?
Yeah, about 600 or so.
I've got 1.
He's gonna go for that
nice.
Tachi sword. I hope, right?
What?
You're gonna go for the sword, the exquisite
sword?
blade.
Oh no. I'm probably gonna do a bow.
A
Harbinger.
bow.
Yeah.
Oh.
Because those new there's a new percent fizz and there's a new attack speed that will make it like quite a bit better than the current AXN's current one. And bows are extremely popular. Like,
I don't want to start any rumors, but I heard. Well, I guess this is kind of starting a rumor, but
what?
I heard that Axon has some kind of deal with that bow that we were talking about. That's in the template. He's just waiting for it to finish so that he can get access to it.
Oh, like the one I told you about that got sniped, right?
Yeah. Like
he might.
He already has like some kind of negotiation deal, and that when the league's end, he's going to craft it. So that might not be like an endeavor that you want to, compete with Axon.
I don't know. I mean, that was a pretty shady thing to happen. The guy was like, I'm not selling this, and then all of a sudden, boom, gone.
The price is right.
And I was offering him a lot from standard. I'm like, keep this for me, and I'll give you. And I gave him a big amount, like something you just wouldn't pass up. And he's like, no.
But he did.
Yeah, he did. And then all of a sudden, it's gone. Like, and he said he wasn't selling it. And even if he was offering, like, what did he offer that was better than my offer? I mean, why he would go to me with my offer if it was like an equal, or I wouldn't say equal. If it was, if he had an offer, he'd say, "Oh no, he's offering me this. Are you gonna beat it?" And I probably would. I know how much currency can come out of that.
Hype Check is saying Lightwoods owns the bow now.
Does he?
Oh, he asked. He said, doesn't he own it?
That's what
I haven't seen it posted. I've been looking every day, seeing if someone posted on the forums.
But yeah, maybe he offered friendship, and that's priceless.
Oh, I love fucking friendship, dude. I mean, that's what I want to go out and say that's what irritates me about temp leagues, is I mean, I don't know if you guys really look into it, but I look into what affects me and what affects my gameplay, and that would be RMT. Like, it affects me, so I do my research and look and see what's happening.
Right.
And I didn't like what I saw at the start of the league. I really didn't. I mean, it's slowed down a bit, but at the start of the league, it was terrible.
Yeah.
That's certain RMT sites. Like, you could, you saw people, like hundreds of people active, and it's like, come on, throw the banhammer around here.
Right.
Yeah. If only.
Yeah, RMT does actually affect the economy.
Oh yeah.
Way more than anything else, I think.
It does, and I mean, it affects purchasing power
Right.
of the individual. When the purchasing power of an individual, compared to everyone else is lower, you feel suffocated. You can't buy stuff because everyone else's purchasing power is just much higher, and that's what prices are based on, is average purchasing power of the average player. And when there's like a high end of armed tiers who are willing to pay a lot, that influences the price, because these people who are selling items, they know armed tiers will pay an X amount, so that's what the prices are based on. And a lot of people, say like, "Oh, it's not a big issue." I'm like, "Yes, it is. I mean, it really is a big issue. If you move into a neighborhood, with tons of rich people, the prices of shit around there is going to be higher because people are, more willing to pay
Yeah,
more.
they
I
make
mean,
more
just
money.
yeah, they have more money to spend,
Yeah.
and so luxuries become a little bit more expensive. Or yeah, and like I know this because I've lived overseas. I've lived in third world countries, and you know when the average purchasing power of people around you is a lot lower, things are really cheap. Like I've lived in Vietnam. I could go out and have like a amazing night for like $30, top, and I could do whatever the hell I want. You know, it's not like that here though,
Yeah.
because the average purchasing power of people around me is higher
Well,
than it is over there.
and another thing too is I think, and I might catch some heat for saying this, but whatever. Um, with this huge rush of new players that we got to Path of Exile, we have a lot of players who don't have any experience with Path of Exile. They're coming into it, and Path of Exile is a pretty complex game through the trading and the passives, and with everything that's going on with Path of Exile, it's pretty complex. And I think that a good portion of those players, would just look to RMT, because it's just like, well, I don't understand these things, but I know I need a lightning coil because they're really
build
good.
Says so. Yeah.
Right. And it's just like, well, I'm just gonna, I don't even know how. I don't know the chaos recipe. I don't know the regal recipe. I don't know how to get to maps to a point where I can, do those things. So
also, they don't necessarily know. It's like when I first played this game, I didn't know it was against the rules to RMT, because I was playing Diablo and RMT was available there. It was allowed. The RMT auction house, that was allowed.
Right.
Came over to PoE. There was no like big signs saying don't RMT, or there was no talk about it either, because usually that stuff's deleted. And
Yeah.
I don't see why someone wouldn't just lightning coil. I need this. Let me Google it. Lightning coils.
Right.
And then RMT pops up, and it's like, we'll sell this to you for X amount of money. And I don't see why that. I mean, so that wouldn't happen. So
right. Yeah.
I feel it has influenced it. I mean, not to the point where like we're all dying because of the RMT, but it has influenced it.
Yeah, I mean, you get a kickstart in the your purchasing power, your startup
Yeah.
capital. You can just multiply it, make bigger and bigger investments, and just get like that much more of a lead.
Exactly.
You pay that upfront fee, and then you don't have to RMT for the rest of the league, because you know what to do with currency, and you just multiply your wealth. But this is kind of off topic. I had a question. I've just recently been rebuilding some characters in Standard League, just to see how they fare in the new changes in 2.0, and all the aura changes and resources. But I've been encountering an overwhelming amount of items that were by this guy named XX Zune. Do you know who I'm talking about?
You know his account name?
I think that's his account name, XX Zune or something. He's got like all the jewelry. Like whenever I search for jewelry, at least 20.
He might be relative. I mean, there are a handful of flippers, like the biggest being Rayman. He's by far the biggest. And there's that guy who collects perfect items, perfect rolled. He's insane. It begins with a K. I always forget his name. There's him, and there's a few others. They live the game. That's all they do. From the moment they wake up to the moment they go to bed, I can always log in and see them on there. And it's like, and this has been for years. They've been doing this for years, not months. It's just consistent, and you gotta wonder, how can they do that for that? Like, that's not a livable life. You can't live that way. I mean, I don't know their situation, so maybe they can, but you know, it's really kind of out there for someone to do that every day and night. You know,
If you really enjoy it, you know, if that's
yeah, I mean, that's what I mean. I don't know their situation, so
Yeah.
you know, they might like super enjoy it, but who knows? But it seems a bit weird, you know, to me personally, and I think to a lot of people that kind of lifestyle is a bit odd.
Well, yeah, I mean, everything he has posted is like all the same. It's like 3x current offer, 10x buyout. That's like, and it's like 20 or 30 rings, you know, or amulets, or I'm just like, God, this guy owns so much of like
Yeah.
the best, like, or not even like just upper tier items. I'm just like,
Hmm.
damn, you know, like,
Yeah, those guys who appear on there,
yeah,
they're freaking There's another name got like Mister like Nomad or something like that. He's always there. Like I've even sold to him. Like he's always up there with all his shit. Like you look at his thread and it's like boom, like 20 shavs, you know, like tons of that shit. I'm like, God damn. You love that shit, don't you?
Yeah, well, flipping seems like it's like kind of a booming business right now, especially with I think from here on out we might see, you know, because you had mentioned a little bit earlier that you could buy an Exalt for 10 chaos. I think that's what you said. Like at this very start of a league, right? You know, you're like, oh, I get this Exalt for like 18 chaos. Although that might not really happen anymore. It might be higher than that. But you know, those people, that's when they, you know, do those things. They'll get, you know, like 20 chaos.
They know it'll go up.
Yeah, since they know it'll go up. And that's another thing too that actually kind of affects the Exalt. I feel like because what the experienced players are used to is they know that the Exalt goes up to a point and then it goes back down a little bit, not all the way. Like it'll like in the hardcore temporary leagues, it would, you know, start at 18. You could get an Exalt for 15 or 16 chaos first day of the league if you happen to have that, and then it would go up to like 20 and 25, and then by about a week and a half in, it would be about 30 to 35 range, and maybe it would go up to 40. But then a week or two after that, or like probably about a month after the league has started, it will settle back down to that 28 to 32 range. And right now we don't have any we don't have any reference of recent history of it going up to, right now in Tempest it's up to 60.
Wow.
I mean, like Hedgie messaged me this morning. He said, "Hey, how much are Exalts in Tempest right now?" And I was like, seriously, like they're nearing 60 chaos right now. And sure enough, before I logged out by the end of the day, I saw people want to sell Exalt 60 chaos, and other people, that doesn't necessarily mean it's worth 60 chaos, but there are other people offering 57 or 58 to buy it. And that's how I know. I'm like, okay, well now they are closer to 60 chaos. And so now we're kind of experiencing this thing where we don't know when it's going to peak and when it's going to go down.
Yeah.
We don't know how much higher they're going to go at all. I don't know how long they've been.
There's only been one league, I think, where it was actually worse, and that was beginning of Anarchy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's the only reference that I have, and I didn't play in those leagues. That was during beta,
that was
right?
the first league I tried playing, and then I remember my Exalt. I remember getting 120 regrets for my Exalt or 300 alchemies, and I'm like, well, I don't like this. Like I'm going back to standard. And then since then, I had never played new leagues, and then happens the one I play again is another, fucking crazy ass league, with crazy prices.
Right. Well, the Anarchy thing was because botting was
botting was so bad. Like you'd go to Act 1 and there'd be trains of just people running to the waypoint.
Right.
Bashing Hillock.
But that's actually good to know, because that means that when more currency is generated, that points directly to that.
Yeah, that's exactly. It'll reflect the actual drop percentages. When there's more people playing, the item's value will reflect the drop rates more than if it's less people are playing.
So, I mean, confirmed. We might have just experienced a really long summer for Path of Exile, and now winter is coming, and everything is going up because we have more players, which in the end is a good thing, right?
Yeah,
Like,
but like I want to give a shout out to GGG because ever since that botting issue, I mean they nailed it. They're like, nope, you're not ruining our game, and they honestly have done a great job against botters. Like they ban them, very well. I mean, I wish they did more against RMT, but botters, that's not a problem anymore.
right.
Yeah, Chris said they hired people specifically. That's all they do all day is
Yeah,
ban botters.
that's
And
good because that
and
will ruin a game so fast. And I think they knew that, and they're like, we can't let this shit happen.
yep.
Which is, good job to them.
Basically, you just exhaust them, man. You just make it so that they
You
get
make it
banned so much.
non-profitable for them. They
Yeah.
just nail their accounts and just
Uh,
make it so and that's what happened. Is they're like, well, they ban us too fast. It's not profitable to,
yeah.
do this anymore. So they
Just
left.
load up a different game and bought that.
But the scary fact is it's still going on.
Yeah, it does go on, but it's not like it was before.
Right.
Yeah.
It really is not like I know the botting sites. I've been in. I read about them because I mean that's just what I do. Is I research everything that affects me. And if there's like something ever coming out, I'll see it before it happens, so I'll know. Do I get rid of this item or do I invest in this?
Jump ship.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. Like I'll tell you before back in standard, back when that shit was an issue, Eternals were a really big. What they do is they bought or however they got them, and I know because if you check the sites, they reflect when they're gonna sell them. The Eternals, and I'd sell because sometimes they just unload thousands of Eternals into everyone. Like AXN knew this too, and he'd stock up when at the end of their offload when they went down to like 2 exalts each. You stock up then you hold them, and when you hold them, they stop selling them all of a sudden, and they're all gone, and then price goes back up, and it rinse and repeat. That would
So
happen. And I've
Braveheart.
noticed that, and I would make a lot of current. You'd seeing me sell Eternals all the time and mirrors because they do the same with mirrors. They just unload it one time, and just I guess I don't know why they did it, but I knew that's what they did, and that's how I'd make a ton of I'd make my margins on because I knew they were coming. I'd buy them with all my exalts and just sell them for profit. I'd probably make 2 exalt profit on each.
Dude, I always wondered, like, I was like, why the hell did it just, like, did this price change overnight?
Yeah,
It's
it's
like
because
the,
they unload.
yeah, it's like the stock market, you know,
It's
just
oh
like took a
god.
dive. You're like, what the hell? I just like, I felt so bad, and I mean, I kind of see what you're talking about. You just want to minimize your losses. You don't want to
Mhm.
make bad trades.
Apparently that happened with lightning coils in this league, right? I remember a Reddit post. Some guy was talking about like hundreds of lightning coils being sold at once.
Oh yeah, yeah. That was
That's
like
the same
that was
thing
a
that they do.
tinfoil hat conspiracy
Yeah,
thing right
they
away.
gather them and they all dump them at once. And if you're good at watching it, I mean that's how I make a ton of currency. If you're good at watching it, you can see when this shit's gonna happen. I mean, you're not doing it. You're not doing anything wrong by looking and seeing what they're doing. You're just reacting to what they're doing, and that's how you get rich.
Yeah.
It's doing that kind of stuff. It's just understanding how the market works, not believing. Oh, this is wrong. Don't ever look. Don't ever look. or you're gonna die. You could get banned for looking. Who is Ventor? Hey, PoE exposure.
So yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and open this up to chat. If anyone has any questions for Ventor, we talked about everything that we all want to talk about. It's not going to be as long as some of the other podcasts that are out there, especially for the live version. But if you guys have any questions for Ventor, just
Skyforth, Juanito Mamon.
Yeah, at Wabachami or whatever.
Yeah,
message one of us.
This Skyforth just said something, and I know that too.
What?
There's this guy named Juanito Mamon. He used to sell Eternals a lot, and just tons of them. And he quit the game, but he had 2 alt art those shields.
The mirror.
Mirror. It had 2 of those. I thought he only had 1, but apparently Skyforce says he has 2. Ventor, are you gay? No. Laz. Yeah, buddy.
So okay, I have a legit question here. Lynx ZR, maybe you know this. Ventor, can you tell me what's a few good ways to get rich fast in temporary leagues when it's a fresh start?
I'd say the best thing to get rich is to just research what people are going to be doing. Like look through the guides and look at the most used items. Then from there, just you know what you need to get, or you know what you look out for, because usually people react to those things. At good builds, they'll go for those builds, and when they see that item in that build, they're gonna get it. They want it, so the demand for that goes way up. Or if it's a good build, that's usually, I mean, and for temp leagues, I've seen that, all those rats. I mean, rats nest did increase in rarity, but I'd say more builds were just using rat's nest as well. That increased the value as well, as long as it, as well as it increased in rarity,
If
drop
you
rate.
if you don't mind me asking, how? I mean, you started the temp leagues at the start, right?
Hmm.
Uh, in warbands, how much currency do you have right now?
Well,
Are
to be
you
honest,
like
I've been playing
rich?
really casual. I've got like 20 exalts pure. I've got like a really good bow. I've got lightning coil. Yeah, I got that sort of stuff. I'm not crazy rich, but I did some flipping at the start and I got what I needed basically, and
Uh-huh.
then I
And then just
stopped.
went casual train.
Yeah.
So
It's
you have a really casual lightning coil and six link. I'm assuming you're playing
Yeah.
poison arrow.
no.
No.
I'm playing a fizz split arrow.
Oh, okay.
I,
Oh, okay. So something that's even more expensive than poison arrow, really.
yeah. I
Okay,
mean, like
so
that's really casual for me. Like,
yeah, because casual for me is like not a 5 linked plus 2
uh,
bow with not
I
a
mean, I,
6 link
I really don't. I
and
don't
like 2
play too
exalts.
much. Like, I'm level 93. Um,
Hmm.
so I'm not too heavily invested. I'm just having fun
So
Solorian
until
asks in chat.
until huh?
Solorian asks you, how many times have you mirrored an item? Do you keep count?
Oh, easily over 1,000.
What? I was gonna,
Easily.
I was gonna guess like 150, 200. Really?
No.
You've mirrored something over
I
1,000 times?
Yeah. So I'd say my Corsair is probably up to like 120 times. 120. My Bramble Talisman is probably up to like 60 or so. Um, Another high one would be my Viper Hold. Holy shit, that one! I don't see it very. I mean, I see it like about 4 or 5 of them on the PoE trade, but that's been mirrored like 70 times. I have a few wands that were mirrored quite a few times, like a 40, 50
And this
times.
is at a 40 to 50x fee.
Yeah, each. And then the sword was at 7. The sword is what's really set me off. For my
Jesus.
And from there it was just constantly just putting out more. Also, I've had a lot of items that I've just cycled through that I've sold as well. Usually those are only like 3, 4 times. Usually someone who really needs um that item for their build. Like I have some ES gloves that are some people really need for their build, and I've had a guy actually mirror a pair twice because he screwed up on the colors. Like you get some really weird people who will come and mirror stuff from you. Like they're like complete noobs.
So actually, it's funny you say that because someone else just asked, how many people have you sold mirror services to that you suspect are RM tiers? And I know that we actually kind of touched on this a little bit
Oh,
in our last podcast with you.
quite a lot, quite a lot. Right? I actually not just think, I know they
Just
are
give us
too.
a percentage of like where
I'd
you
say about
out
I'd
of
say
the
about
over 1,000.
60% of them
Oh,
are.
over
Wow.
60%?
60%.
But the people I know, probably 10%. But like I suspect, because they come to me and they say, how much is a mirror this, or what's the price of this? And I'll say, one mirror plus 50 exalts for to get it mirrored, and they'll usually say, how much in exalts? And I'll say, with my exalts, whatever, same thing but converted. Like, give me 30 minutes. I get that stuff. They go off and they come back.
Hold
They
on, 5 minutes.
That's what they do, and they come back like, all right, I'm ready. How does this work? I'm like, all right, buddy, let's go.
Right. Well, didn't you also, you said when you did your crit arc build that you had a guy like message you.
Yeah, I had a few guys message me and just like, let me get a set. Like, let me get that set, you know, bring it out. I'm gonna take that to go. Like, holy shit! And Skyforce in here, I think as well, and he'll say, "Yep, people do that." They come in, they're like, I'll take a set. Let's, and you're like, okay. You look at his account, like 2 months old. This guy really likes the game.
Oh my god.
But
Dude,
I mean, they don't. These people don't do anything wrong, to be honest. They don't sell their stuff. Like some of them I never see them ever sell anything. They just play. And that's where I kind of understand it. They just want to have fun. These people
Right.
just want to enjoy the game. That's it. They're not fucking evil people. They just want to enjoy the game.
Yeah.
I've had people who admit it to me that they are RMT, and they're like, I can't stand just being shit. Watching and being shit. And I understand that, but it's the people make margins off that, who are cashing. Those are the people who are bad,
Yeah.
not the people who feel the need that they need to do this.
Yeah.
Those people just want to have fun.
I think the
That's
general
it.
idea of RMT wouldn't necessarily be as bad if there weren't people to exploit it for whatever reason.
If people were, the more content people are with the game, the less they're gonna RMT.
Right.
And GGG's actually, I remember them saying something like that about I remember Bringer of Rain. There was something going on, and I remember them saying like, we don't want people, to feel that they need to do this to stay in the game. Be like worthy competitors in the, wouldn't say the race, but like just
Right.
like actively feel like you're meaningful.
And that's one of the nice things about the challenge leagues.
Yeah.
Because you could, even if you don't play for a few months, that there's, a new fresh start coming for you. You don't have to wait for like a ladder reset that happens once a year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Skyforce is mentioning the Demigun's presence. He sold for. I remember that happening too, because he messaged me, dude, because I had been trying to sell one too, and I'm like, dude, fuck off. Like I wanted to sell that, and then this guy, his name, I don't want to name him right. I know his name, and this guy goes ham when it comes to buying something. He wants it. He'll pay any price. You say any price, he'll get it. Like if you say. Skyforth had a Demigod's presence for 900 exalts back when mirrors were 100, and Skyforth's like 900, and he goes, "All right, done," and gives him 900.
He's like, let me respec multi-swipe extra charge.
Yep.
Like,
There you go, J-Dog. There's more subtle Asian racism from Henry.
faster delivery. Multi-swipe.
That guy, I know who he is, and he's not banned either. He's not.
Yeah,
And
well,
he's
there's
got
probably a lot of
he's
people
got like
like
a
that.
full set of fucking supporter packs. Not to
Oh.
say that that they wouldn't ban those, but that gives them a little guard, like a little shield.
Yeah, it's pay to win.
No, I honestly don't think that's the case. It's just like they might be more like inclined to like, I don't know, think he plays a lot or something like that. And then they ban those accounts which are really new and they
Right.
you
I
know.
think that would be interesting if we could, see the correlation between the people who have, given money to GGG to the people who have RMT'd.
Yeah,
because
there would. Yeah.
Pretty sure it's pretty high,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that's my rationale a while ago was like, why would GGG ban the people who are dumping a ton of money into their game? I mean, unless it's, and these people aren't the ones. They're not the problem either. It's the people selling it. Those are the people who are the issue. I mean, if there's nothing to sell, there's no one to buy. I mean, so they ban the sellers as much as they can, but I think you'll kill off your game pretty quick if you just ban all RMTers, and that's the tightrope kind of thing you have to do as a company is like, do we, how do we go about doing this? It's like, because if all the supporters are gone, there's no revenue.
Right. And
Well, I
someone
think
said,
it's-
Skyforce said, those who could afford RMT are those who could afford the support to support the game.
Yeah, exactly. That's my
Which-
point.
Yeah. I mean,
I think you just need, like, can't just do it in one thing. I think if you have martyrs, as long as people have the fear of getting banned, if they see like people that they know fall like left and right, and they're like, oh, maybe I should stop now. You know, like
Yeah.
I could be next. You know,
Like,
it's
what's his name who got banned, and then there was a big uproar about it. For RMT. Who was that guy? He was a streamer too.
Unhost.
Unhost, yeah.
Oh, rest
That
in
guy.
peace, Unhost. I miss that man so much.
Yeah, I have a strong feeling he RMTs. A strong feeling,
No.
because I've seen him do some stuff. I'm like, why would you do this? But I'm not gonna. You know, I have no evidence, but I just have strong inclination. Let's say.
Well, he doesn't.
Huh?
I'm an Unhost fan. And God damn it, Unhost is a good man with a good heart, and he doesn't RMT.
He doesn't.
No.
Okay.
Impossible.
I'm not gonna put a label on him because I don't know.
Yeah, well,
But
good.
I've seen him do some stuff. I'm like,
I'm so triggered now because of this.
Triggered.
Yeah.
Is he your buddy or something?
Well, he's awesome. Who doesn't
He's
like
a cool
Unhost?
guy.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut this here. So this feels like it went really fast. I don't know about you guys, but we've been talking for an hour and a half about all this stuff.
We hit 200 viewers. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, if you guys, thank you very much for Waba Chop. Thank you very much for checking out. You know, what's up, Wraeclast. This was the first live episode, so I'm sorry if it was a little all over the place. I don't know. You know, whatever.
Freestyle.
Yeah, freestyle. Ventor, do you have anything you want to say before we go and close out?
Just want to say, I didn't fucking lie to you guys. I didn't know about that shit. You know, that's all I can say, really. If you, I've gotten a lot of hate from that shit, and it's really not deserved. I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, I didn't think you did. I honestly, and when I asked you to come on again, I was already thinking about having you in another podcast again because of the price of everything and how the economy was going. And when I messaged you, I was cautious about that. I was like, man, I don't want him to think that I'm gonna bring him on and be like, I know you did this.
I know you did it.
Yeah, that's why I told you right away. I'm like, for the record, I do not think that you did that.
It was blown way out of proportion. Anyway, it was like it happened. Like Lightwoods was the one who blatantly lied to everyone about his beard.
Whoa! He's in chat.
Well, Chris said he lied, not me. I'm not. This is stuff that went public.
Right.
Chris said he lied, and he admitted to it too.
Right.
I mean, there was nothing saying I did something, and all of a sudden I was the one who took all the blame. Like I was like, what did I do? I didn't do it. This is 6 months ago.
Right.
And I think there was like 10 or so upvotes on it. Like it's not like the whole community saw it or something like that either.
Yeah, it didn't get taken down pretty quickly.
Like I don't know. That's had pretty negative effects on my general experience. Not in game. Like it doesn't affect me at all in game because I really don't need people to like me to play the game. But like just to chat with the community and Reddit and stuff, I just get a lot of hate. And it's pretty irritating.
Yeah, I'd imagine
because it's pretty... not. I mean, it's not something I did. I didn't deceive anyone. I mean, I just. It's really frustrating.
Well, okay. So, and now with that said, I also think that Lightwoods caught a little too much heat from that. Also, in all honesty, because so what? Like, if he said he had 72 mirrors and that wasn't true. Whatever, no one could blame him for using these things that was brought out.
That was right. He rightfully owned those 8 mirrors. Like he earned that. There's nothing wrong with that. But
they are
it
kind of
just felt like all of a sudden just shifted at me and just like fired like
boom. Scumbag Ventor.
Right.
And like during this whole time, everyone was really happy with my advice I give them because like. I go to a post all the time like, what do I do with this item? And I kind of give them my advice what to do. And the Reddit consensus is like, yes, that's what you should do. And I'm always there, pretty early to tell them what to do. And, it just doesn't make sense that, why would I spend time helping people and just like, it just doesn't add up. And I don't know why anyone would think that with zero evidence to show that I have ever done anything like that to the community. It just kind of boggles my mind.
Right.
Personally, I mean, as far as like all those pictures and screenshots, fabrication, whatever. Like there's that recent one with the Mjolnir, the two Trollners making a Mjolnir,
Oh
and
yeah, I
that just
saw
like
that.
stirred up. I mean, like who cares? It's just like it's all in good fun, and it's up to you to you know determine if it's bullshit or if it's the truth. Like I don't know, making a lot of fuss over who cares if it's if it's relevant. It's just
Yeah.
kind of like figuring it out. I like it.
Well, that was actually me saying, "Hey, we're gonna cut off," and then turn into
Yeah.
like a whole tangent.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, Hedgie, do you have anything you want to say?
No, I mean, I stream Path of Exile every day, and you can find me on my live stream at twitch.tv/HegemonyTV, or you can find any of my YouTube content on youtube.com/HegemonyPo.
Ventor needs some social media
Yeah,
because
I was about to say I actually have AT&T, and I need to upgrade my package so I can. I've actually been looking into just streaming a few craft sessions and kind of going through step by step, like what do I regal, what do I augment, and what would I exalt, what would I I've been thinking about doing some sort of thing in regard to that if I can upgrade my package, because they kind of throw me around and
that would be cool.
We'll
A
put
lot-
in a ticket for you, and you might be able to upgrade. And I'm going to talk to him and see if I can get my upload past.
I have a feeling a lot of people would actually like to see how how to really craft.
Yeah,
Because I know for a fact that sometimes when I craft, quotation fingers, that when I craft, I'm just wasting currency. Like I'm just 100% wasting it. Like it's not the right base. Like why am I doing this?
Yeah, I can explain pretty well what to do.
Yeah.
And I think people would like that.
Yeah, it would be pretty cool. All right, guys. Well, again, thank you very much for stopping by. We got up to 200 viewers, which is pretty cool. But this will be on my YouTube, and it will also be in the VOD section on the Twitch. And I really appreciate you guys coming by, and we'll talk to you later. We'll say
Thanks.
bye, everyone.
Have a good
Bye.
one.
See you
Bye.
later.
Oh my God. Bye. Bye.